Welcome to the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. I'm your host, John Hartofilis, and today I'm super excited to bring you a special episode about what makes SBC truly special. On this episode, you're going to hear from some of our top performers from our December GM Academy and the experiences that they had learning from top NBA executives and general managers during that program and what they're most excited for the upcoming Business of Basketball immersion coming up this summer in July in Las Vegas for NBA Summer League. It's going to be an incredible experience, and thinking about just what SBC has done for me in my career really has brought me reflecting about not just the experiences I had in Vegas for those 5 days, learning from so many of my role models, but also the relationships that I've cultivated with fellow SBC alumni, a lot of my friends from the program that are still so strong to this day and are continuously progressing. So much of what SBC has done for me has superseded those 5 days in Vegas and have continued way past that and will for the rest of my career. So really my story going into Sports Business Classroom was that I was a 21-year-old that didn't really have any experiences in the sports industry leading up to going to Vegas. But once I was there, not only did I learn from so many people that I admired, but I was also able to have hands-on experience doing what I love. At Sports Business Classroom, there are three main majors in salary cap, scouting, and media and broadcasting. I was a media and broadcasting major, being that I'd done a lot of podcasting before that and a lot of content creation, learning from Boaz and Simon, Sharon Gordon, two experts in their field. It really prepared me and gave me the confidence. And we landed two of my dream jobs in the last 9 months alone. On top of all that, before leaving Vegas, I joined the No Trade Clause team and have been working hand in hand with other SBC alumni to create amazing content centered around the NBA salary cap and how important it is to so many of the transactions and the movements that we see across the league on a day-to-day basis. That being said, I'm so excited to jump into this podcast episode because all these students that I spoke to have such a bright future, and it was incredible hearing their stories kind of leading up to this GM Academy and kind of seeing what they've done afterwards and what they're going to continue to do past SBC this summer in Vegas. I can't wait for you to listen, and I hope you enjoy this episode of the Sports Business Classroom audio experience.
Welcome to the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. For the next few months, our show will be hosted by a rotating panel of industry leaders in their respective realms. Each host will bring on guests who they regard as experts in their field, so you can learn from the very best about the intricacies of the business of basketball.
Before we move on, I want to make sure I give proper context to the main assignment of GM Academy. Our students were variously assigned to different NBA teams and front offices and worked with their peers to make trades and improve their teams during the NBA free agency deadline. I've done this assignment in the past myself, and it's something that's very unique to SBC as they've done it masterfully both virtually and in person. Not only do you get to go through the process of being on a team and making decisions with your peers, but you also get real-time advice from executives that have made those same decisions before. To start things off, we'll be speaking with Scott Brown Jr. Now, Scott took a myriad of different basketball-related internships, administrative roles, all these different sorts of projects to prepare himself for his role as a graduate student manager for Temple University's women's basketball team. Scott was with Temple for 2 years before most recently becoming a video scout for Sports Info Solutions, and has long time been a key component of the Danny Rump 3-on-3 Classic and a director for the Junior 76ers camps, which I know has prepared him for whatever operations role he takes on next. With that, please enjoy a conversation with Scott Brown Jr. Hey, Scott, super excited to have you on here. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and the team you represented here at GM Academy.
Yep. So my name is Scott Brown Jr. Glad to be here with you, John. Representing the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia.
Awesome. So tell us about your first impression of SBC and how it lived up to the expectations you had for it coming into the program.
I think SBC was one of the best decisions I honestly could have made in my young professional career so far. As somebody who was looking to transition from the business side of the NBA, been kind of going through the process of getting back towards basketball, and the opportunity to hear, from GMs directly from their mouths about their decision-making process, then have experts on the cap like Eric and Larry showing us the nuances of the salary cap and the CBA, some knowledge that you're probably not getting anywhere else. So it was something that was definitely worth attending. I'm glad that I did, and I've made some friends with the Cavaliers that I look forward to kind of keeping those relationships.
Love that your team got so close so fast, and that's kind of what SBC is all about. But when it comes to guest speakers, who's someone that really stood out to you throughout the duration of GM Academy?
Yeah, man. Tommy Shepard and Andy Ellisberg came in yesterday during a basketball operations session, and they just dropped a bunch of gems. I think my favorite one was that you don't count the rocks that it takes for you to get to the goal. You just count how much gold that you get to. So just like one of those things with, in basketball, it takes a long time sometimes to break in. But the thing is, once you break in, you're not looking back at how long it took for you to break in. You're just excited about the opportunity that you got and looking forward to where it could take you. So that was something that was really, really cool. Something I'm definitely going to take with me. I'm probably going to share that and act like it's my own. But I'm kidding. No, I'll probably give Tommy credit. But it was great to kind of hear from guys like that are just so well established in this league and connected, and to kind of hear their perspective was just a major benefit for me.
I love that you're able to take so many lessons out of SBC. And when it comes to paying it forward, what's some advice you'd give to a young person that asked you about doing SBC for the first time?
I would say the biggest thing for me, what I really enjoyed early on, was the networking aspect. There's a networking, almost like a speed dating sort of thing that we're able to kind of utilize in between our sessions. I did it pretty early on and got to meet some pretty interesting people that are in the industry. Some are doing some things similar to what I'm doing currently now with Sports Info Solutions. And so it's just cool to kind of be able to talk shop a little bit, talk about basketball, talk about the game, talk about our backgrounds. From a networking perspective, that's always great, especially if you're a younger, professional trying to figure your way out, to be able to pick some of that game off of some of the more experienced guys and ladies as well that can kind of provide some info that can kind of help you moving forward is definitely a major benefit. And then also come in prepared with questions. I think if you go in kind of prepared with questions so that in the sessions you have a chance to ask those questions and get some answers, I think that's the way you kind of can do the best with SBC, is definitely preparation.
Scott, it was awesome having you on. Really appreciate you taking the time and can't wait to see you again soon this summer in Vegas. Later, Scott.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you, John.
It was awesome hearing from Scott about just how important your teammates are at SBC. I'm really getting to learn so much from the people next to you. And as you'll see, these are only a handful of our students, but so many of them have experienced so much in basketball already. And working side by side with people that have the same ambitions for you is the only way to grow. It's such a great way to really promote this idea of learning from one another. And your classmates at SBC are going to be so key on that. And one of the key presenters that Scott made sure to mention was Andy Ellisberg, the Senior Vice President of Basketball Ops and GM of the Miami Heat. He's a longtime friend of Sports Business Classroom. What we're doing here, really came and spoke about his process in building a team like the Heat that recently made a conference finals and has been known for really promoting Heat culture and so many of these things that we try to teach our students here at SBC. So moving on to Kendall Danglade. Kendall was a longtime basketball ops and video scout out of college, spending a lot of time on various internships in that field to prepare himself for what he's doing now. He spent the years as an analytics intern and video coordinator for Between the Lines Sports. After I met him at Summer League last year, and we spoke at length about our next steps, he actually landed a job with the Denver Nuggets on the business side through Jam Academy. And then recently in May, accepted an awesome position in the NBA's inaugural Future Basketball Operations Stars program. So you'll be seeing him at Summer League this year on the sidelines with one of your favorite NBA teams, which is super, super cool for Kendall. He's really doing what he wants to do and really working in basketball ops with a team during Summer League. He'll be right there in the middle of the action with so many of the league's rising stars, both players and coaches. So it's great to see that for Kendall. And we'll get into his interview right now. Kendall, really excited to have you on here and to dive into your experience at Sports Business Classroom. Please give our listeners a little bit of background on your name, where you're calling in from, and what team you represented here at Jam Academy.
Yeah, my name is Kendall Danglade. I am calling in from Denver, Colorado, of course, and I represented the Charlotte Hornets.
Awesome, Kendall. And speaking of just our experience in Vegas together last year and getting to meet each other, why was coming to Jam Academy so important to you this time around?
Yeah, so I think the great thing about this is you see familiar faces, like we know each other from Summer League. I think a lot of things that separate, people who say they just want to work in basketball because they love the game is those who find their ways to invest in themselves, to put themselves in the proper positions to, hopefully be afforded an opportunity. As far as my teammates, I was blessed with great teammates, got to work with somebody who also worked in the NBA in a front office as their video coordinator for a number of years. So just being able to bounce off real life ideas from him. And then, me, I'm currently in the business side, but, being able to learn from guys like who have also been on the business side, like Tommy Shepard and Andy, who started out in PR, being able to maneuver their way into the basketball operations side and show their value. And not only that, both those guys have been with their respective teams for, decades now. So just trying to pick their brains so I can position myself for a similar opportunity when that time comes. So.
So what would be some advice you'd have for people looking to do SBC and maybe how they can get the most out of their experience here?
Yeah, I think as cliche it is to sound or say, it is a relationship business. It's a people business. You definitely got to be able to not just relate to people, but be able to understand, their different backgrounds, because none of us have the same path. It sucks to hear. I mean, I wish we all had the golden keys to get where we want to, but we don't. And just networking. I think people, another cliche word, it's not who you know, it's who knows you, honestly, because I'm in that area right now. I position myself to meet certain people, but like if I didn't have certain references or referrals, people wouldn't really take me serious as to what I want to do. So just, getting in front of the right people and also showing that work. I think what Ryan McDonough said, people not following up is very big important. I have my own portfolio that even if they don't respond, like I'm sending out just so they know, hey, I'm experienced in this realm. I'm very serious about this too. And just, putting name to face. I think people want to see you're a real person and being able to, like I said before, being able to talk with you. So
Kendall, really appreciating the time. And I know you're going to be killing it from now until I see you in Vegas. So keep doing your thing. I'll see you there, my man.
I appreciate it. Likewise, keep doing your thing. I'm sure we're going to run into each other again here in the coming months. So.
Kendall couldn't have put it better when he spoke about investing in yourself and how really, because SBC is exactly that. SBC is investing in your future and in your career in the sports industry. SBC really is that first step. So Kendall really did a great job articulating that. And really speaking as to what many of our guests said about how the sports business really is a relationship business. And so many of them have known each other for years and they keep those connections intact. So many of our guests that are general managers still keep that rapport and that respect for one another. And that's something that's very key in progressing your career in basketball. So really, Kendall really spoke a lot about Andy Ellisberg, of course, but also bringing up Tommy Shepard, the president of basketball operations and general manager for the Washington Wizards, and the advice that he gave. Tommy always stops by Sports Business Classroom every single summer in Vegas. He's been such a huge supporter of what we do here at SBC. So he's been fantastic and really takes such a warm and really thoughtful approach. And every time he speaks to our students, is so gracious with his time and does so much great work, not just for his organization or for the people around in his organization, for also for those in our program, really paying it forward. So huge shout out to Tommy Shepard for all that he does. And then moving over to Watida Mukukula. Watita is a longtime intern for NBA Summer League, first starting when he was a freshman in college back in 2018. So Watita's been to so many summer leagues and really has kind of advanced through his collegiate career, kind of seeing the sports industry and summer league evolve as time has happened. So much has, of course, changed with the summer league over the last few years. So now as he gets set to graduate from Franklin and Marshall College, we're really excited to see what's in store for Watita, and really excited for you to hear his experiences, not just at SBC, but summer league as a whole in Vegas right now. Watita, awesome seeing you again. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and what team you represented here at GM Academy.
Okay, so my name is Watita Mukukula. I'm from Zimbabwe, actually, in Southern Africa, and I'm representing the Golden State Warriors.
So Watita, having attended and worked Summer League several times in the past, how valuable has that experience as a whole been for you in progressing your career in the sports industry?
Summer League obviously puts you in a position where you can network with a lot of people. The difference is with GM Academy is just like doing the things that are behind the scenes that the GMs themselves get to do, that experience that you never get anywhere else. So even at Summer League, you're able to meet with people, but you don't really understand what you actually these people are actually doing. And this experience where you're put in a position where you have to make decisions right away, quickly, and you have to, obviously collaborate with your teammates and all that stuff, and making phone calls and all that. It's an experience that I think is very unique.
That's incredible. And having experienced it so many times, what would you say to someone that was going to SBC for the first time so they can get the most out of their experience there?
I would ask them, have you ever made a trade before? That's the first question I'll ask them. And I think it'll probably be no, because you have to be a GM to be able to do that. And you don't really understand the work that goes into it and the stress that goes into it as well. And we're given that opportunity to be able to act as if we are GMs, and we're empowered for, those few days that we're here, and we get to meet these people that are actually doing it, and we learn from them, and we take notes, and we're able to apply what we've learned from them and be able to execute trades, be able to learn about the salary cap and also like the language as well. the league, people in the league talk in a specific language that you as a regular person might not know. So just learning that lingo is also really important.
Well, Tito, it was awesome having you on the show. I really appreciate it. And your insight as to having gone to SBC and been a part of the Summer League for so many years has been incredible. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you this summer in Vegas.
Thank you very much.
Always great hearing from Watita, someone that's, of course, a seasoned vet when it comes to NBA Summer League and really can speak to how valuable just being in that building is, being around so many great people and kind of seeing all the people that you see on LinkedIn actually there in person and actually meet them is something that just can't be replaced anywhere else. So moving on, though, we have Peter Gosnell calling in from Thailand. Peter is incredible, working in youth basketball over there and really doing so much to advance the game over there in Thailand. So hats off to Peter for the work that he does, and I'm excited for you to hear what he has to say, because his perspective is obviously a little bit different from a lot of our students that are here in the US. So we're excited to kick things off to Peter. Peter, great seeing you again. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and the team you represented during your time here at GM Academy.
Sure. So my name is Peter Gosnell. I'm originally from Wellington, New Zealand, but I'm currently based in Thailand, and I'm representing the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So Peter, tell us a little bit about some of these speakers or lessons that stood out to you during your time here at GM Academy.
The first speaker that really kind of stood out to me was John Hammond from the Orlando Magic. And something he said is, because obviously I'm leading an organization already over here. And something he said was, sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. That's just the business of basketball. So you have to kind of keep on plugging and don't get too down about things that don't work out. Just focus on what's in front of you. So I really appreciated that. Tommy Shepard was also fantastic, very, very inspiring. So he had some good stuff to say as well. And also about, I think, being extremely professional, keeping your social media on lock, just giving some advice around that, which was very honest and straightforward, which I appreciated.
Now, joining SBC virtually from overseas has to be somewhat challenging, but how has your experience with sharing your perspective on the game to so many of your peers here in the class been especially valuable to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I think as a kid growing up in New Zealand, you dream of, going to the NBA. I didn't quite make it as a player, but it's fantastic to still be involved in the business of basketball, in youth development, not only in New Zealand, but also Australia and now in Thailand. So, and I do regularly come to the NBA Summer League. So I've now got some fantastic new contacts that I expect to see everyone in July.
So knowing what you know now about the program, what would you tell the next Peter Gosnell about coming and partaking in SBC this summer in Vegas?
Oh, you got to do it. If you have the chance to interact on a personal level with people that are right at the top of the industry, then you've just absolutely got to take that chance. For me, obviously, the course started at 11 p.m. at night and finished at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And for me, I did it absolutely without thinking. It's immensely valuable, and anybody who wants to get into basketball, I think it should be number one on the list.
Peter, I appreciate taking the time. I know it's getting late over there, so appreciate you coming on and speaking about your experience at SBC. Can't wait to see you hopefully this summer in Vegas.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Peter brought up two incredible individuals when it comes to keeping things professional. Of course, we've already spoken about Tommy Shepard and his graciousness, both of this program, but also with how he conducts himself professionally. But also John Hammond, the general manager of the Orlando Magic, and how he has so much experience in the league, both on so many different teams, and has been to touch so many different parts of the industry. His advice on making sure always make sure you're handling yourself professionally when you're dealing with these things, which is important for our students to hear, because this being their first time making these trades, it's easy to get caught up in always making sure to win the trade instead of making sure to maybe also preserve the relationship and make sure that you're conducting yourself and your business the right way. So we'll be moving on to Todd Patterson. Todd Patterson is another international GM Academy student. He's a football/American soccer coach for the Melbourne Academy in the Australian Rules Football League. So calling in from Australia, it's obviously a big time zone difference for Todd, but he made it work for this GM Academy. He really did a wonderful job of showcasing that grit, that determination, that spirit that we promote here at SBC. And Todd has a very unique perspective, obviously coming not just from an international background, but also from a totally different sport, which is something we don't always see at SBC. But as you'll hear from what Todd has to say, it's something that he actually used to his advantage, really utilizing his knowledge of both sports to really advance himself and to figure out how he can get the most out of SBC. So we'll kick it over to Todd over there in Australia. Todd, awesome speaking to you again. And if you could please give our listeners some background with your name, where you're calling in from, and also what your time here at GM Academy.
Yeah, so my name's Todd Patterson, and I work for the Melbourne Football Club, and we're in the Australian Rules Football League, which some of you may know. And in the exercise, I represented OKC.
So Todd, your background is unique to SBC, being that not many of our students come from a background other than basketball. So how has your experience then within SBC allowed you to help grow your career?
Yeah, I was expecting just to make a broad range of contacts and to understand how a different sport with different player movement rules go about things and how contracts and trades are structured, and certainly got that through the CBA mastery and the sessions with the GMs, and then the practical session. Certainly learn a lot, and our game does pick up a lot of rules from the NBA and the NFL. So to get a little bit ahead of the game and understand pick protections and the way that different salaries are structured and ratcheted up was really valuable.
Interesting. And it's so fascinating, kind of the perspective that you're able to look at what we're doing here at Sports Business Classroom from. And through all that, obviously, we had some great speakers coming and talking to us this weekend. So who are some of those speakers that maybe stood out to you?
Yeah, I think just all the GMs and VPs that we heard of, especially like Andy yesterday and all those sort of guys. It was really good. A lot of it was reinforcing a lot of stuff that we're already doing and that I've learned from guys that I work with. So it's good just to get that reinforcement and understand that that's what all the best do around the world.
Awesome. And then what advice would you give to someone that maybe has a similar background as you and that maybe doesn't know where they fit into SBC? Maybe they can use you as an example for how they can find success here.
Yeah, I guess I'll just be saying to them, it's so hard for us to travel at the moment, especially I'm in and out of Australia. So this is a good way of doing it, like a 3-day study tour and meeting lots of people from different organizations and just learning all about the different process and the pressures that the NBA face and how we can sort of apply those lessons and learnings here.
Todd, I appreciate you coming on the show and taking the time to speak about your experience here at SBC. So hope to see you soon in Vegas this summer.
Thanks, John.
Awesome hearing from Todd, and of course, his super unique perspective from a totally different sport. That's something that obviously we're really excited to learn more about and see more students coming from overseas and from even different sports other than basketball at SBC. One person that comes to mind is a very dear friend of mine, Sean Raggio, who was actually in the media and broadcasting major with me last year at SBC. Sean's actually a huge hockey fan. And last year didn't know much about basketball. Now he's learning a lot more. But he came to SBC with a huge background in production. And while he wasn't as comfortable in front of the camera speaking about basketball because it wasn't his forte the way hockey was, but he had a real skill in producing shows. And he did a masterful job at that SBC, and he's actually being brought back this year to NBA Summer League to do the same thing and be interning for Sports Business Classroom, a passion that lied outside of the game, but still showing so many people, Bo Estes, Larry Kuhn, how he can provide value to the program. And that enabled him to have a really awesome opportunity to come back to Vegas this year. So moving on, we'll be speaking with Michael, who will actually be on staff this year at NBA Summer League, which is awesome for him. He recently announced that, and I'm very happy for him. He's calling in from Moscow, 3:00 in the morning. So not easy for him, as he'll tell you, but you'll be seeing him around the concourse, working, making things happen. So really excited to kick things over to Michael. Super excited to have you on today, Michael. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and what team you represented here at GM Academy.
Yeah, my name is Michael. I represent Sacramento Kings. I'm from Moscow, Russia. 3 a.m. here, but I'm enjoying it. Like I was partying, like if I was partying at this time,
Well, that's great. And the perspective of overcoming the time difference to enjoy SBC overseas is really something really spectacular. I want to make sure I highlight. So what has it maybe been like for you in overcoming that and making sure to get the most out of SBC, even though it might be super late at night or early in the morning for you coming from your time zone?
The main takeout I had from these sessions is that the mentality, how the business operates in US is completely different to what we have here. Well, and the model itself, because you have salary caps and all this stuff, In Europe, it's more about buyouts. So for me, it was completely new. And of course, obviously, I knew how it operates in the NBA, but with this exercise of trade deadline, I experienced a lot of things, like not all trades that you plan go as you planned. It's about negotiation. It's about a lot of hustle. And also, you have to earn a trade. You can't just sit and wait for someone to come and ask for your player.
That's awesome. And it's great that you're able to still take part and really enjoy this experience. So maybe what was some of the best advice you received from SBC, and how do you see yourself applying it to what you're doing now in your career?
Yeah, I would say the best lesson I heard here was from Tommy Shepard. And he said, like, when I make a deal and I tell the other side that it's a deal, I'm a man of my word and I keep it. And it helps me stay in this business. And we approached the same thing. We didn't try to commit with a lot of other guys and promise them things we will not do, because it's all about relationship. And this is what will get you forward next time, even if the particular trade doesn't work out.
Oh, of course. And having those values is so important to what we do here at SBC. And what would you tell someone with your background about taking SBC and getting the most they can out of it?
I would say it's like a pure immersive experience. Like you said, you experience being a GM and you look at the things not like playing NBA 2K. You look like it, and it's not fantasy. You get the deals done, you don't get the deals done, and it's real life, and it has a lot of lessons to take away even the side of basketball.
Michael, appreciate you so much for coming on the show and taking the time to go through all this with us. So I know you're going to do great on whatever it is that you do, and appreciate you for coming on. So be well, my man.
Thank you, John. Nice to meet you.
So Michael spoke a lot about Tommy Shepard, always talking about being a man of his word. And that's obviously so important with everything's SBC. We've already discussed keeping things professional, but Tommy always zeroes in on, when making a trade, how important it is to really do what you say you're going to do, both to the players on your team, to other execs, keeping relationships intact, both within your organization and externally with all 29 other NBA teams. So shifting gears now, it's incredible how many different perspectives we've discussed kind of already in the first few interviews. Now we kick things off to LJ Hapanowitz, a longtime accountant, and it's coming from a perspective of someone that already has a full-time job, but really has that passion for the game. And always wanted to make a career in basketball. And now that he's established himself in his own field, really is trying to make that happen. So it's, there's so many people at SBC that are either super, super young, first starting off in their careers coming out of college, or some that are a little bit older that have already experienced success in different fields or even in basketball and are just trying to see a change of scenery or a change in career paths. So it's really going to be great for you to hear from LJ and his experience coming from his line of work. LJ, really excited to have you on here. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and what team you represented here at GM Academy.
Cool. My name is LJ Hapanowitz. I'm out of Syracuse, New York, and I'm with the Portland Trail Blazers.
Awesome, LJ. Maybe tell us a little about what throughout all this, what your biggest takeaway was from being a part of SBC this week.
So the biggest thing that I love the team that I'm working on too. The team that we really worked together really well. We vibed really, really great right off the bat. We kind of agreed on our strategy really well, and I really loved that. Every speaker was really interesting, and I took a lot of notes that hopefully will be beneficial. Especially, I want to be more of like a capologist. So when Larry was talking about the CBA, I was ingrained in everything. It was amazing. So I think just the combination of that just made this a great experience.
So as someone that's considered transitioning into the sports industry in the past, how is coming to SBC giving you the confidence that chasing your dreams can be done?
Yeah, so I'm coming in from somebody who already has a job, and I'm coming in from like the accounting side of things. So I came in with, a mindset of, hey, if this can help me get a future, like that'd be amazing. If not, it's just an amazing experience. And from what I've learned and what I talked to it is possible. So I'm really excited about transitioning into there and potentially, doing some stuff outside of my normal job that potentially will get me into there, working hard and getting into the NBA. So I think the biggest thing I would take away is if you have a shot to take this an opportunity, I would go for it. I talked to my wife about it, and she was very big on like, this is going to be an amazing opportunity, something you won't forget. And I told her after day one, like, I'm loving every second of this so far. So my biggest takeaway is if you want to get into this field and you want to experience this, I would say go for it.
That's really inspirational, LG. And I'm sure there's so many people listening that share your similar experiences. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, and hopefully get to see you in Vegas this summer.
Hey, appreciate meeting you, man. Thanks for all your help so far this week.
Awesome hearing from LJ and what he had to say about his path in SBC, really taking a liking to so many of his teammates and taking so much value from learning from them. It's good about how much value you can get, right? Everyone always thinks it's all about getting that job. For some, that's obviously the only goal, but it really shouldn't be, because there's so much else you can take from SBC and Summer League in terms of relationships and just learning about how to communicate with other people and really build those relationships going forward. So moving on, speaking to Ari. Ari is a recent graduate from Yeshiva University in Business Intelligence and Marketing Analytics. For those that don't know, Yeshiva University took the Division III basketball world by storm this year, winning 55 straight games, being retweeted by the NBA, ESPN. So Ari has been no stranger to great and intelligent basketball over these last few years. But in this year, he'll be attending the University of Michigan to pursue his master's degree in sports management. And he's been working as a content contributor now with Sports Business Classroom. So you can find all of his articles about his time at SBC and his perspective on the basketball world on the SBC website. So with that, I'll kick things over to my conversation with Ari. Ari, really excited to have you on here. And if you could give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and your team here at GM Academy.
Sure, of course. My name is Ari Eisen. I'm calling in from Washington Heights, New York, right in New York City. And then I represented the Boston Celtics at the GM Academy this year.
That's awesome, Ari. And tell us a little bit about maybe what your experience was like, kind of learning from those same wide range of executives that you got to listen to during this GM Academy.
I think one of the cool things of hearing all of the different kinds of speakers that were at the conference was kind of seeing that there are so many paths to so many jobs in the sports industry. I mean, I really liked hearing from John Hammond. I'm a big Giannis fan, so hearing from the guy who drafted Giannis was really cool. And hearing about building a team and the experience of also, I'm from Detroit, so talking about my Pistons was also pretty cool. I think that was probably my favorite speaker.
That's incredible. And then kind of through learning all that, what's some advice you'd impart on someone else that's maybe trying to do what you're doing and take part in this SBC experience next year?
I think if I were to talk to someone who's younger and looking to get into the sports industry, is what SBC has been doing from the short time I've heard about it here is that this is one of a kind. I haven't heard of anything else where it's integrating young people who want to work in the sports industry and giving them hands-on experience and getting to experience what a trade deadline is like and getting to experience how making trades work and how all of the things behind the scenes work. I think that just telling them that SBC gives you the opportunity to put your hands on and do it yourself. You know, it's different than doing it on 2K or doing it on Madden. You're interacting with people in real time and getting to work collaboratively with people you work on your team and not on your team. So I think that SBC is a great place to go to for that.
Great stuff, Ari. I appreciate you coming on and sharing this all with us. I know you're going to do great, and hopefully I get to see you this upcoming summer in Vegas.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's great feeding off Ari's energy and his passion for the game and everything that comes with it. So excited to see what's next for him next year as he pursues his studies and works to continue his career in basketball. But moving on, we'll be speaking to Tanae, former college basketball player, and spoke to me off air at length about how much she's looked up to Rachel Nichols in the past and how much of a privilege it was to speak to her here at SBC at the GM Academy. For those who don't know, Rachel Nichols is a former television host for ESPN. She's a sports reporter, an anchor, someone that's really been a huge face of women in sports in the broadcasting world and beyond. So really, Tanae really spoke at length about how much she learned from Rachel and how impactful that was for her to speak to one of her idols. Tanae, super great to seeing you again. And if you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and what team you represented here at GM Academy.
All right. So my name is Tanae Denson Griffin. The team I'm representing is Detroit Pistons. And also I am currently in Dallas, but I'm from California.
That's awesome, Tanae. And you were telling me a little bit off camera about how much you looked up to Rachel Nichols and how her presentation here at SBC was especially impactful for you. So being a woman in sports, what did you maybe learn from Rachel and how can you maybe apply that to what you're doing and to other young women that look at you as someone that they look up to?
So most importantly, just know who you are, be aware of self, and just be open to learning and expanding your knowledge. And don't be afraid to just take the shot and ask people for advice and just be willing to learn always and work very hard and stay consistent. But it's also really good to be relatable and be understanding.
That's incredible, the kind of positive message you can take from what we've learned here at SBC. And then what are some of those other lessons on top of that you can maybe share back with your network back home so other people can find the same success you've found?
Pretty much like the coaching one-on-one in the CBA was really important for me to learn, obviously, numbers and seeing and understanding how things really just work within the business of basketball. So that really stood out, and I would be more than happy to recommend this to anyone that's interested in working in sports.
Thank you, Tanay, for sharing your story. It's been really inspirational kind of hearing about you and your path through the sports industry. So hopefully get to see you this upcoming summer in Vegas, and we'll get to talk about all the stuff that you've been doing over these last few months to kind of get yourself to that next level.
Thank you, John.
Moving on to Shane Gatson. Shane comes from a super unique perspective of being a longtime G League player that is making the unique transition of going from G League player to NBA or G League coach, a video coordinator, whatever that might look like. Shane is incredibly passionate about so many different parts of the sports industry. I spoke with Shane at length on the No Trade Clause podcast, and No Trade Clause is the official salary cap component of the Sports Business Classroom and NBA Summer League. No Trade Clause was responsible for serving as the league office in a lot of these trades we did at GM Academies. So our founder, Neil Gagna, has really a masterful knowledge of the cap. So he took charge in really making sure that all the numbers worked out a lot of these trades, that they were approved and they were good to go, both with everything, with all the sort of precautions and provisions and different exceptions that can be used by different teams. So that was really incredible to see and be a part of myself, but also a great opportunity for anyone in the future to really get into the salary cap side of things and really expand their knowledge on that super, super crucial aspect of the game. But going back to Shane, he's making a really cool transition, and being someone that obviously played at such a high level, has a unique perspective on his experience at SBC. And I'm excited for you to hear that perspective right now. Shane, awesome seeing you again, and really excited to dive into your time here at SBC. Can you please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and also what team you represented here at GM Academy?
I'm Shane Gatson. I'm from Jamaica, Queens, New York. And here in the GM SBC Academy, I'm representing Sacramento Kings.
So Shane, having experience playing the G League before, that's something very unique to most of our students here at SBC. So how is your experience different from other people in coming to this program with maybe that playing background and trying to utilize that to maybe bring yourself to that next level in your coaching experience or whatever else you're looking to achieve?
I was informed about the program through Darvin Ham, a longtime friend, a longtime mentor of mine. He told me in my transition, in which I'm in currently, going from a player to trying to get into a front office or a coaching job, he said this would be a good way to educate myself on the knowledge of what the front office looks at, what they look for, what they think, and how things operate on that level. And I took advantage of it. And so far, what I've drawn from it is what I've soaked up is the different journeys and how and where they landed and how they're still thriving in these different markets, and how basketball may take you through many different avenues, as long as you stand on your road or your course. So for me, it's more so and as from a GM perspective, I could see where it could get very tedious, and I could see where it could get very nail biting and a lot of emotions get involved. And now, going from a player to surveying how a GM thinks, I could see they put a lot of time into it, a lot of thought. And as a team, you must construct a good team to present some good players on your staff and coaches.
That's great. And I know you're going to be successful in whatever it is that you do if you keep that same mindset. So maybe who are some of those speakers that maybe imparted some wisdom and left a really good impression on you?
Well, like I brought up, just the fact of how they may have started at a certain place they didn't think they would be at and where they are now. And, kind of the few things I've taken from it is simple. It's about simplicity, right? Being yourself, knowing what you want, and being able to provide instant and immediate value to a club, as well as just being a good human being. I think the general manager, if I'm not mistaken, of the Washington Wizards, I loved his sincerity, his genuineness, and I found to be that sometimes in this game, in this business, we tend to think we have to be a certain way, and it's not the case. I just think being yourself and putting straightforward standards and expectations on yourself and allowing a team to see that and bringing that light out and seeing if you could be of value to them, I think is very important. So just overall, man, all of the guys who came on, I want to say thank you for them to giving us out their testimony. It's inspiring and it's motivating.
Perfect. That's some awesome advice. And then thinking about just all that advice that you were able to take from all these speakers, what's some advice you give to someone kind of looking to do something similar to what you're doing and taking part in SBC in the future?
I think it's very, very, very good for the fact that you gain a lot of knowledge just in these short span of time of how to work with a team, how the salary cap works, of transactions, things that may not go your way. How do you respond to that? Ultimately, just the soaking up the knowledge of what happens in that room, right? Like I said, it's very tedious work that went in within these 48 hours where me and the team was going back and forth with. At certain moments, it was nail biting, but at the end of it, you revisit the round table, you settle down and you settle in and try to draw on exactly what you want. I would advise this class for anyone that's looking to be in the sports world and any role, whether it be GM, whether it be an executive, coach, from any role that you are looking to play, you could gain a lot of knowledge from this class and course.
Shane, I appreciate taking the time to come on the show. This has been incredible, and getting to meet you this week has been really, really cool. So I know I'll be seeing you this summer in Vegas, so can't wait for that. And I know we'll be doing a lot until then, and can't wait to kind of catch up and hear about what's been going on when we're there. See you, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Always great hearing from Shane because he's obviously, of course, so passionate and really his story is incredible. So I really urge you to listen to that No Trade Clause episode on his story. But moving on to Rick. Rick worked in the league office as a replay operator in the game operations center, as an officiating content supervisor, really in so many different ways. And most recently is pursuing his JD from Georgetown University and taking on several legal jobs and internships in the meantime, working to build a career in sports around that legal background that he has. So it's really great to speak to Rick. I mean, you'll see that theme obviously progress here as so many of our SBC students have their own niche. So really everyone can find a home. Really everyone can find someone with a similar background as them at SBC and people that are going to really have different backgrounds that are really going to challenge you. So that's really what's great. And with that, let's kick things over to Rick and really see how he has been able to find value in SBC. Rick, super excited to have you on today. And if you could please give our listeners some background with your name, where you're calling in from, and your time here at GM Academy.
Sure. My name is Rick Lampkins, calling in from Richmond, Virginia. And my team that I was assigned is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
So, Rick, this GM Academy has been a little different than a lot of our SBC experiences in the past, both with our immersive experience last year and our business of basketball immersive experience this year in Vegas coming up. But maybe what was it like experiencing this platform and conducting an SBC program virtually?
I think the process was really smooth. I'd never used Hopin before. And it can always get a little wonky when you're using a new technological service, but everything was really smooth. We didn't have any issues. I loved the ability to sort of be in the video chat with my team. With my fellow executives, so to speak, but also be having side conversations with members of other teams, so I could negotiate on the side in the direct messages and report back to my team simultaneously. I thought that was really awesome, and it helped to help things go a lot quicker and a lot smoother rather than hopping back out and forth and having to constantly start and stop different conversations.
That's awesome, and kind of figuring out how to navigate all those different maybe obstacles, but still obviously being able to get it done and learning so much from so many of these speakers. So who are some of the speakers that you learned from that you're really excited to get a chance to meet during this week?
I mean, I was really excited to hear some of the people like Raphael Stone, for instance. As a law student, I follow a lot of the MBA executives who have legal experience. So I was really excited to hear about him and his path. And he kind of also mirrored some of the things that Ryan McDonough said. A lot of it's just about grinding, networking, but also being useful, having a work product, having something that you can deliver and being helpful to someone. So you're not just, saying, hey, I want to do what you do, but you're saying, hey, I want to do what you do, and I can bring this to the table on my way to learning more about what you do. That was pretty helpful. And honestly, the exercise that we did was very helpful in trying to figure out exactly what that work product should be. None of us have the knowledge of an NBA general manager or assistant general manager. So being able to sort of work out these questions, it goes a long way to sort of put together a work product to present to these people.
That's awesome. That's definitely some great advice. So then on that same note, then what's some advice that you'd be giving to someone that's looking to do what you're doing and maybe taking part in SBC in the future?
I would definitely recommend SBC to someone who's in my position. I think at least it's been my experience. I've been, working around basketball for several years, and I think sometimes it gets a little redundant to hear people talk about, oh, you need to add value, oh, you need to network. But then when you do an experience like SBC, you get really energized by realizing, oh, there are people out there who take this just as seriously as me. And you get to understand, what they do when it comes to networking, what they do when it comes to presenting work product to people you want to work with, and it gives you ideas. There were people on my team with the OKC Thunder that I learned from, and I'm going to take lessons from them onto summer league and onto different events and different networking events I go to. And that wasn't even, that was only us four. That wasn't even the speakers or the other attendees. So I learned a lot here.
Awesome, Rick. Appreciate you taking the time to come on, and really want to thank you for sharing all that insight with us as to what you really took out of this week. And I know I'll be seeing you soon, doing big things. So hopefully get to see you in Vegas. We get to catch up then.
Hopefully. Thanks, John.
What Rick shared was super important, thinking about how can you be helpful, right? How can you provide value? That's something that we should be asking ourselves all the time, not just with SBC, but with everything that we're doing, because it's so important to think about how, not just what you can take from something, what you can learn from someone, but what can you provide? What can you give? What can you pay forward? In its most simplest terms, what can you provide value in? What are you best at? Where your skill sets lie? So that's really something that Rick shared with us that was super impactful, that a lot of our guests share with us. And then moving on to Ramzan, a certified agent by the National Basketball Players Association. Ramzan is the founder of Gratitude Sports Agency, LLC, and the founder of SL Estates, a prominent real estate firm in the Bay Area. So Ramzan's doing a lot on that business side of things, both as an agent, both in real estate, both in so many different walks of the basketball business landscape. So it's exciting to hear from someone that just recently became a licensed NBPA agent, and really seeing his perspective from that super crucial aspect, not just SBC, but sports management as a whole. Ramzan, it's super awesome talking to you again. And if you could please give our listeners some background on your name, where you're calling in from, and your time taking this course here at GM Academy.
Yeah, my name is Ramzan Jacob. I'm from San Jose, California. For this project, I've been representing the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Ramzan, so tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe some expectations you had coming to GM Academy.
Yeah, I'm a certified NBA agent as of this past March. And, I jumped on just to basically get some more insights as to how the league works, the experience, and see kind of like the day-to-day stuff, like how we've been experiencing thus far within this project. And yeah, just networking with people too as well.
That's great. And then of course, obviously so many lessons from all those incredible speakers you just mentioned. So what are maybe some of those lessons that stuck with you and you'll be using in your career to see yourself progress over the next weeks, months, or even years?
I mean, something that stuck with me a lot was what Jay Bias was saying about, in terms of just life in general, no matter where you are, just respecting the people that are with you there. You never know at the end of the day where they might go, where you might go if you cross paths. So I just thought that was very good and insightful, not even from a basketball perspective, just from life in general,
That's great. And then what's on that same note of kind of giving advice, what's some advice you give to someone that's younger than you that maybe wants to follow in your footsteps and also take part in SBC this upcoming summer at our Business of Basketball immersive experience during the Summer League?
Yeah, I would just tell them, it's a great source of knowledge. And, there's honestly, I haven't come across anything like this anywhere else. Even when I was studying for the test, I came across Mr. Kuhn's educational classes, and I took that, and that helped me a lot for the exam. There's really nothing else like it, in my opinion.
Ramzan, appreciate you taking the time to come on. I know I'll be seeing you soon, so keep doing your thing, and we'll talk later.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So Ramzan spoke a lot about Jay Bilas and his life advice on no matter where you are, respecting the people that are with you, and how important that is to not, you obviously you never know where those people might be, recognizing everyone's human and how important it is to keep those relationships intact and make sure to treat everyone as such, and how important that is. Jay Bilas really was very inspirational in his presentation here at GM Academy, and he always is when he comes to speak at SBC. So then moving on to Nianth, a senior manager of analytics at the Philadelphia 76ers. He's taken analytics-based roles for a long time with the Denver Broncos and several other business-based initiatives. Simply put, Nianth is very good with numbers. So he has the analytics background that I know so many of our listeners and so many of our other students have. Maybe at a micro level, Nianth is doing it at such a high level with a high-level basketball team. And I know you're going to learn a lot from what he has to say about his time at SBC. Nianth, awesome to have you on here. And if you could please give our listeners some background with your name, where you're calling in from, and your time throughout this course here at GM Academy with SBC.
Absolutely. My name is Nianth Anand. I am calling from San Francisco, California. And in the 2021 GM Academy, I represented the Indiana Pacers.
Awesome. So tell us a little about your experience at SBC and how that's maybe helped shape your career going forward.
Yeah, a plethora of different types of experiences over the past 3 days, from actually being in the trenches and talking shop, talking trades, going through building a philosophy of how we wanted to approach this whole exercise, to getting a lot of insight from the speakers. I mean, whether it be the coaches like Mike D'Antoni, the media personnel, Rachel Nichols, Jay Billis, and then of course, front office personnel like Tommy Shepard and Andy Ellisberg. I mean, it was everyone had some unique insight to share. I mean, I think that one of the things that impressed me the most was just the wide array of backgrounds and current roles that were held by the people who were speaking, and I think it really gave us a kind of a full, wholesome view of different types of roles in NBA organizations and in the sports industry in general.
Awesome, Nianth. And then using those skill sets in your own career, how has that been made beneficial to you, and how do you see yourself continuing to sharpen that skill set and continue to see success?
Absolutely. Well, I'm fortunate to myself currently be in the sports industry, but having that said, I'm one of the reasons why I wanted to partake in this was to explore different paths that I had not considered. And a lot of times, front offices are nebulous. It's a little close to the vest in terms of what they're actually doing. What are the types of roles they have? What are they looking for in potential candidates? And I think that an opportunity like GM Academy really enlightened that and kind of provided insights that'll be really beneficial as I project out personally the different career paths that I may end up taking and what the right way is to get to my goal.
Awesome, Nianth. Appreciate you coming on. I know we'll be talking again soon. Hopefully I get to see you in Vegas this upcoming summer at the Sports Business Classroom immersive experience. Until then, keep doing your thing, and I'll see you soon.
Likewise. Thanks, John. Appreciate you, man.
Great hearing from Nianth about all the things he's learned at SBC and how much he's taken from his time with the program. Of course, the background that he has in so many great analytics-based things. We're going to wrap things up with Derek, who's a Syracuse law student, past video coordinator for the women's basketball team there. I mean, whether it's in basketball ops or content creation, Derek is all around the game. So I'm really excited to wrap things up here with what Derek has to say, because it's very impactful coming from someone that's currently a law student. We've had, of course, so many people at SBC are involved in the salary cap, have that law background. And Derek is a prime example of being someone that's doing that right now. Derek, hope you've been great and excited to jump into your time here at SBC. If you could please give our listeners some background on yourself with your name, where you're calling in from, and your time here at Sports Business Classroom.
My name is Derek Morris. I am representing the Cleveland Cavaliers, originally from Detroit, Michigan, but a Syracuse law student. So enjoying it a lot, man.
Awesome. So tell us a little about your experience at SBC and how that's maybe helped shape your career going forward.
Really just the camaraderie that I built with my team members. I think we struck a good balance of making decisions, some cognitive dissonance, some non-group think, thinking about things as a group and making decisions as a team. We developed some really good synergy. The guest speakers dropped some gems this week, man, and I really appreciated everything that they said, especially John Hammond, who said, if you build it, they will come. I think that was really revolutionary. Gave me a chance to think about the league a little bit differently in terms of small market versus big market. Even though I don't necessarily believe in the small market versus big market debate, I agree a lot with John Hammond, but that's just an example of one of the things that I heard this week that really kind of hit me home. And then adding value. That's like my biggest takeaway. And it's something that I've heard a bunch of times, but finding different ways and strategic ways to add value to teams as I'm trying to step into the league, gives me a good insight in what I need to do next. But this was a really, really good opportunity. I'm enjoying it a lot. I've enjoyed everybody from No Trade Clause, Larry and Ryan, Tucker especially, been in communication with him. It's been a really, really, really good experience, man.
That's awesome. That's definitely some great advice. So then on that same note, then what's some advice that you'd be giving to someone that's looking to do what you're doing and maybe taking part in SBC in the future?
Absolutely, man. I would tell them to take a chance. If you have the money to invest in it, go ahead and do it. Even if you don't, try to gather some. We've talked to Mike D'Antoni, who is a revolutionary basketball coach, a great basketball mind to hear from. So I think if you want to be in spaces and have your name attached to something in the league, to something that people in the league respect and want to pull people from, I definitely think this is a really, really good opportunity. And it's legit too. So take that chance and trust your gut and come prepared and ready to sell yourself.
What a great way to end it with Derek quoting John Hammond at GM Academy when he said, if you build it, they will come. Really, it can come in so many ways with a team. When it comes to, obviously, John Hammond was talking about this whole small market versus big market thing and how if you build a productive team, free agents, people will still come because they want to be around high level basketball. It's the same thing with your skill set. With Summer League in Vegas, it's going to such a rate that really everyone in the basketball world is there. That's the simplest way to put what makes SBC so valuable is that it's the one time of year where everyone in basketball, that's anyone in basketball, is in one place at one time, not only physically there, but also mentally in a space where they want to learn. They're keeping themselves open. It really is. There's so many moving pieces, so many things and growth and expansion at Summer League. While there's also so much learning being done at SBC in the classroom, when you're out of the classroom, there's so much to take in outside of that. There's so many things to learn from people outside of SBC, and so many people to speak with that are receptive to being spoken to because of the environment that the Summer League builds. And that concludes this episode of the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. I'm your host, John Hartofilis, and thank you for your continued support of SBC and everything we do here, trying to promote and grow and cultivate the next generation of leaders in the sports industry. I'm super excited to have been a part of this, and you can check out more about everything we do here at SBC at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. And please check out the Business of Basketball immersive experience taking place this summer in Las Vegas, July 10th to the 15th during this NBA Summer League, and I cannot wait for it. I'll see you there. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.